tuned. The stream is about to begin.
All right, my teacher friends. So just like many of you, I've been utterly confuddled by this. What in the world is complexity and how do you teach it? So in this video, I'm going to go over 5 activities that I've tried in my career in recent years. The first is the optical illusion approach. The second is the playlist metaphor, where we get into students' music and we unravel some of the complexities there. The recipe twist, the 2 truths, 1 text exercise, and the color mixing demo. So if you're curious to see what that all beholds, stay tuned, strap in, sit tight, and I'll walk you through it. It's pretty cool. All right, my teacher friends. So as advertised, we're going to talk about 5 approaches to teach complexity. And just so that you have everything you need to run this exercise, down below in the video's description, you can download the slides that are forthcoming in this presentation, just so that you have some guidance to facilitate the exercise. So the 5 little twists that I have here go like this: the optical illusion approach, the playlist metaphor, the recipe twist, the 2 truths, 1 text exercise, and the color mixing demo. As always, I'm going to Bob Ross this for you and give you some samples and talk you through each one. And I'll begin with the optical illusion approach. So it runs like this: put an ambiguous image on the board, the duck rabbit, the young woman, old woman sketch, or a Necker cube. Ask, which is it? Students will split in the responses, then reveal both and neither fully. That tension is complexity. And I have the images that I'm going to use with my students. I'll show you those in just a sec. And then you can connect this to literature. A character, theme, or symbol can mean 2 or more things at once, and the best interpretations live in that tension. And ladies and gentlemen, that is complexity. So you may have seen some of these optical illusion pieces before. Here's number 1. And it's amazing, like some kids are so wired to one side of their brain that they can only see one image in this. Great conversation for complexity. Here, number 2 is very common. You've probably seen that before. 3, likewise, is pretty standard. 4 and 5 are a little tricky. So that's 4 and that's 5 right there. I couldn't see the rabbit in number 5. I just see the duck, and whatever the reason, my brain does not see a rabbit in that at all. So from here, you can apply it to some text, and I'm going to use very simple ones, right, before I get into like the Scarlet Letter and Hamlet. The first is an Oscar-nominated short film. It's only about 5 minutes long, called The Bread. And I like to ask the question, are we talking about bread or are we talking about something else? And oftentimes that question really yields complexity for me, because a lot of my students tend to be very literal and very concrete in their interpretations, and that's what ultimately precludes them from achieving complexity. Moving on to a different text, I like to use Shel Silverstein's The Missing Piece Meets the Big O. And I asked the same question as I did for the bread. Are we simply talking about geometrical shapes, a triangle and a circle, or are we talking about something else? So it's pretty cool to kind of regress back to kindergarten and first grade and sit on the matted carpet and have story time and a Socratic seminar about The Missing Piece Meets the Big O. The second one is one that I run in my AP literature class all the time, and it's a ton of fun. It's called the playlist metaphor. So I have students bring in one song they love, and they let me know what the song is, and I load it up on Spotify, and I only play 30 seconds of each song. And then I ask them to rank the songs from best to worst, okay? Most of my students have some kind of streaming service, so I can share that playlist with them and then they rank it worst to first. But as the debate unfolds, I complicate things a little bit. I want to add a little bit of complexity to the assignment. So I might ask, what if we judged by lyrics only, by instrumental skill, by cultural impact? And they can begin to see that that list begins to shift pretty dramatically above and beyond the subjective, I like this, I dislike this. And then I show them that best shifts depending on lens. The same way, say, like at the time we do this exercise, we're reading Hamlet. It's the same way that we can cast Hamlet as a tragic hero and or a paralyzed procrastinator. So ultimately, complexity rests in that multiple valid truths that coexist. Number 3, I really dig a lot. It requires a little bit of money. I end up having to spend about $50 for this from my school budget, but it's a really neat exercise. I call it the recipe twist. So I bring in a simple recipe, and what I do is I actually bring food in, desserts primarily, say like a chocolate chip cookie. And then I add one unexpected ingredient like sea salt, cayenne, or rosemary, and have them describe the taste. And if you don't want to do this, you could just keep it in the realm of the imaginary. But I like having tangible food in. The point is this. Literature that only runs on sugar and flour, so like where you have clear heroes, clear villains, black and white themes, is simple, right? And oftentimes students' reads are too simple. That's what we're getting on their case about. But when an unexpected tension, a moral ambiguity, irony, paradox gets added, it becomes layered, memorable, complex. So one of the things that I did with my AP students just the other day was they had lunch in my room, and a lot of the kids got peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And I asked them to add a banana to the sandwich. I asked them to add a Pringles chip to the sandwich, and talk about what that adds in terms of complexity to their interpretation. This next one's pretty cool too. And again, I like to use small text as I'm modeling this before we tackle anything big, whether that be a poem, a short story, a play, or a novel. So I like to use bedtime stories. So I call it 2 truths, 1 text exercise. So I give students a passage and ask them to write one seemingly contradictory thesis statement about it. So at this stage of the game, we're going to do it with the Scarlet Letter. And you can say that the Scarlet Letter both condemns and sanctifies Hester. So they write one thesis in which she's condemned, one that she's sanctified. And then ultimately, to illustrate complexity, we need to merge both of those reads together in a thesis statement. So before we get to the Scarlet Letter, though, I like to practice it a little bit. So I use The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. And Horton Hears a Who is a good one. And then this one was a real banger. My students did a great job with this. The Paper Bag Princess. And I know some people in the AP Literature Facebook group have talked about this book as being a good stepping stone to larger text. The last one is the color mixing demo. I like to bring in different colors of paint and ask, what color is this? Can you still see both parts when you're fusing colors together? And then we talk about complexity is the purple you get when red and blue overlap. It cannot be reduced to just one without losing meaning. A great book to use to illustrate this, I use the physical paints, but I also read this story by Ellen Stoll Walsh called Mouse Paint, which is a great accompanying piece for that exercise. So that's 5 of them that I use to teach the fundamentals of complexity. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, give me an email at write@ibright@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to field your questions for you. So if you want to reach out about anything else, by all means do so. Write@ibright@gmail.com. Take care for now. I'll keep them coming.